Hello, and welcome to the third and last part in our video series. In the first two parts, you saw how sexual development is totally different from other kinds of development. It is much more dangerous, because it can lead children to abuse each other in the most heinous of ways. That's why sex treatment for children, unlike other kinds of treatment, has been developed by abuse therapists. That's also why it bears little resemblance to treatment for children with other kinds of behavior problems. One way it differs from other kinds of treatment is that diagnosis is not necessary. There is no diagnosis for bad sexual behavior, just the law and therapist's rules that define abnormality. If the child violates them, then Child Protective Services or law enforcement may force him or her into treatment. Treatment methods vary, but they commonly involve group therapy and include one or more of the following components. First, obviously children must be taught that any sexual behavior with other children is dangerous, and is always prohibited. Never mind the research showing that sex play is natural and may contribute to healthy adjustment to sexuality in adulthood. This prohibition is like treating children with social problems or physical aggression problems by teaching them that all social or physical behavior with other children is wrong. But in the case of sexuality, this is the right approach, because sex is different. It's so much more dangerous. Children will have plenty of time when they're adults to change their attitude about sex to a positive one. Research shows that this conversion will happen automatically, when they turn 18. Another common element of treatment is requiring children to tell the other children in their therapy group about every bad sex act they committed. They must take responsibility for all the damage they did to their victims. Again, this is not part of treatment for children with other kinds of problems, but in sex treatment it's important for children to realize how bad they are. Also, children are taught to recognize when their sexual feelings are starting to rear their ugly heads, to realize how dangerous those feelings are, and to divert their thoughts to something safer and less disturbing to adults. Again, in adulthood, they will automatically realize that their feelings are no longer dangerous and they can enjoy sex with their spouse. You may be wondering if these dangerous children should be allowed to remain at large in the community while they're in treatment. Some of them can, but not the ones who won't stop their sex play when told to, or those whose behavior was aggressive, or those who interacted with less knowledgeable, smaller, weaker, or younger children. These children will be removed from the home and placed in treatment facilities. This would be like removing children from home for teasing, fighting, or bullying, or for playing games with younger children. That would be extreme and emotionally traumatic for the child, but not when it's for sexual behavior. In addition, treatment for older children sometimes attempts to measure and change sexual thoughts. Sexual arousal of children aged 10 and up has been measured by placing plethysmographs on their genitals to detect their arousal when presented with sexually stimulating pictures or audio tapes. Sometimes children have been treated with ammonia aversion therapy to eliminate inappropriate feelings. Of course, this was done with the voluntary informed consent of children and parents, who were grateful for such state-of-the-art treatment. It's true that in the case of physical aggression, we would never think of electronically probing children's private thoughts or using ammonia aversion therapy on them. We don't even do that with adults who've committed aggravated assault or murder. But sex is different. It's so much worse. The extreme dangerousness of these children justifies it. Unfortunately, there have been a few misguided lawsuits and challenges by human rights groups, so we only use plethysmographs and aversion therapy on certain kids over 13. It's not because we're concerned that they're unethical, mind you, but rather because we've learned they might not be so effective with younger children. This brings up an important point. There is a difference between children with sexual behavior problems, and juvenile sex offenders. The former are younger. So even though their acts are horribly disturbing and heinous, just try your best to remember that they're still children. I know it's hard. But they shouldn't be treated like juvenile sex offenders, who really are the worst of the worst. So that's how we treat children with inappropriate sexual development. As one therapist writes, children should not experience fear, shame, or guilt in their sexual play. Clearly, nothing in the way we prosecute and treat children for their sexual development would in any way induce fear, shame, or guilt. And this concludes our 3-part series. We can be proud that the United States leads the world in understanding and treating children with sexual behavior problems. No other country does what we do in this area. And it's all because we care so much about the protection of children. Thank you for watching.